Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Intan Amira and this is my partner Salma Atmadinata. Today we will talk about our findings on João de Barros, a classical Portuguese historian. João de Barros was born in 1596 in Portugal and died on October 20, 1570 in Ribeira de Litem near Pombal. He was a Portuguese historian and civil servant who wrote Décadas de Asia, 4 volumes, from 1552 until 1615, one of the greatest accounts of European overseas exploration and colonization. Barros was educated in the household of the Portuguese Crown Prince John, who later ruled as John III, and became a good classical scholar. His chivalrous romance, Crónica de Imperador Clarimundo, 1520, induced King Manuel I of Portugal to encourage Barros in his idea of writing a history of the Portuguese in Asia. But first, he wrote several moral, pedagogical, and grammatical works, including Ropica Pneuma 1532, or translated as Spiritual Merchandise, the most important philosophical dialogue of the time in Portugal, and a method to learn how to read 1539, plus a Portuguese grammatical 1540. In 1522, the succeeding king John III sent Barros to Guinea in Western Africa, to where he traveled in 1524, and soon after his return, he was appointed treasurer of the Casa de India, Emina, from 1525 until 1528, and then the factor in 1532, a post corresponding to the crown administrator of Portuguese colonies in Guinea and India. It was in this period that Barros wrote Décadas de Asia, a historical account of the Portuguese discoveries and conquests in the Orient. In compiling his chronicle, Barros used his official position to consult returned soldiers, merchants, and administrators, and peruse all the official correspondence, while he himself was personally involved in the dispatch and return of the annual India fleets. He finished the first draft in 1539. The first volume was published in 1552. With subsequent volumes appearing in 1553 and 1563. The last volume, which appeared posthumously in 1615, covered the period from 1539 to the end of his life, and it was published at Madrid by the cosmographer and chronicle Royal João Baptista Lavagna, who edited and compiled Barros' scattered manuscript. The Décadas were to be continued by Diogo do Couto. Barros' other works on geography, commerce, and navigation disappeared after his death. Crónica do Imperador Clarimundo is a Portuguese chivalric novel written by João de Barros and first published in Coimbra in 1522. The book itself is based on the legend that the Count Henry was the son of the King of Hungary. The work, which was said to be translated from Hungarian, tells the life and deeds of the knight Clarimundo, who becomes King of Hungary and Emperor of Constantinople, and from whom, according to the book, the kings of Portugal descend. It ends with the promise of a second part, which was never printed.
Clarimundo was reprinted in Lisbon in 1522 and in 1601, and in Coimbra in 1555. Even though chivalric books fell out of trend at that period, it maintained its popularity for a considerable time, as it even reached 2 more editions in the 18th century, one in 1742 and another in Lisbon in 1790. This work also important because in the book 3 includes what is considered to be the prototype of Luis de Camões de Lusíads in the speech of the Bard Fenimore, recounting the deeds of the Portuguese kings. The Décadas de Asia was collected and published by João de Barros between 1552 and 1563. It contains the early history of the Portuguese in India and Asia and reveals the careful study of Eastern historians and geographers, as well as of the Portuguese records. His writing is distinguished by clearness of exposition and orderly arrangement. It includes lively accounts, for example, describing the king of Viantana's killing of the Portuguese ambassador to Malacca with boiling water and then throwing their bodies to the dogs. The first volume of Décadas de Asia was published in 1552, and it turned out to be so favored by the king that Barros was immediately ordered to write a chronicle on King Manuel I. His many occupations, however, prevented him from finishing this book, which was finally composed by Damião de Gois. The second Décadas came out in 1553 and the third in 1563, but he died before publishing the fourth Décadas. In 1602, Diogo de Couto continued Décadas, adding 9 more volumes to the collection. In 1778 to 1788, a modern edition of the whole appeared in Lisbon in 14 volumes, as the Asia de João de Barros dos feitos que os portugueses fizeram no descobrimento e conquista dos mares e terras do Oriente. The edition was accompanied by a volume containing a life of Barros by the historian Manuel Severim de Faria and a copious index of all the decades. In January 1568, Barros retired from his remunerative appointment at the India House, receiving the rank of Hidalgo, together with a pension and other pecuniary emoluments from King Sebastian, and then died on 20 October 1570. Barros's life was retold by Charles Boxer in João de Barros, Portuguese humanist and historian of Asia, in 1981. A number of documents regarding the career of Barros were published by Antonio Baiao in Documents Inéditos sobre João de Barros in Boletim de Segunda Classe, edited by Academia das Ciências de Lisboa in 1917. The major documents for the grant of his captaincy in Brazil and not included in the preceding work are transcribed by Antonio Baiao in his introduction to the fourth edition of Asia de João de Barros in 1932, the first of the Décadas. Also useful in assessing Barros's role as a humanist, strongly influenced by Erasmus, is José V. De Pinha Martins, Humanismo de Erasmismo na Cultura Portuguesa do Século, in the year of 1973.